Hey guys, welcome to another Man on Second podcast. I'm Mike Sunbig, joined as always by Joe Fasaro, and today we have our most special guest to ever come on this podcast. Doesn't need much of an introduction, but 2003 World Series champion, Marlins legend Juan Pierre is with us today. Joe, you want to give more of a background on our special
Yeah.
guest?
Thanks, Mike, and thanks to JP for jumping on. And he needs really no introduction down here. Got some notes on Juan Pierre for those who may not know. 14-year career from 2000 to 2013. 2,217 career hits, 614 stolen bases, 295 career batting average, 343 career on base. Stole a bunch of bases. We know. How many Lou Brock awards did you get, JP?
How many? I don't know. Three? Two or three?
Yeah,
I don't know.
2 or 3, and that's to the most stolen bases in the league. And we'll get more into stats. But Juan, thanks for joining us. Personally, I've covered a lot of Marlins, and you are right up there as one of the most professional and one of my all-time favorite Marlins, and certainly a great guy who makes South Florida home, and we're happy to have him on the show today.
Well, the feelings are likewise, Joe. You have always been on my side, even when I stunk it up sometimes on the field. You never wrote too bad of stuff about me, so I was honored when you asked me to be on here. And thanks for not telling them about my OPS and slugging percentage.
Yeah, we're not going down that one, but we are going to talk about that. The batting average does matter, doesn't it?
To a guy that used to use a cracked bat to have the balls not hit so hard. I appreciate that.
Mike, get us into our topics, buddy.
So the Marlins, closing out the season, 17 games left. After a postseason appearance last year, it's not as good as it was last year. They're on the brink of elimination. I mean, they've been out of it for a while now, and it's been a bad year. But a lot of positives, from Sandy Alcantara to Jesus Sanchez and all the other young guys that have stepped up. What do you guys feel on the Marlins season? Not maybe wins and losses wise, but just the production of some of the young guys and some of their developments.
Juan, you want to start? When you see these guys, they're coming up, they're getting their feet wet. Hasn't necessarily gone their way, but we have seen some encouraging signs.
Without a doubt. And a lot of things, when young guys come up, you realize that it's a big boys game up in the big leagues. Like it's serious business. I know guys make it look easy, some of the superstars or whatever, but the biggest thing is the experience of getting there. Like, you got to go out there and show up every single game, and if not, it'll get exposed. And not just for the little fans that are there, it goes all over. Millions of people can see it, so that added pressure. But they've been fun to watch, though. Unfortunately, in baseball, a lot of times where you learn and grow is when you have tough seasons. You kind of see what you're made of. When everything is going well, it's easy just to, like last year, everything just hit in the certain spots. Guys came up with big hits. Everything just seemed to go their way, and they, walked their way in the playoffs. And this indication was like a real baseball season where you have ups and downs, slumps and injuries, and just everything that's involved in every big league season. But I think guys have made great strides. You talked about Sandy and the Rogers kid pitching. Cabby coming up, getting exposure, and then you got Jazz from the position player wise, who's fun to watch, man. He's electric. I think this is something the Marlins were waiting for, one of the position players to kind of step out and take the reins, so to speak. And I think Jazz has done that. And you got Jesus and De La Cruz, who looks like those guys can play a little bit, and it'll be fun to watch. We'll see what happens in the future, but as I won't say bad of a year it was, you can definitely see the future looks bright still.
Yeah, JP, let's speak on Jazz, because he is a dynamic, a fun player, a guy who's got a lot of charisma. Dontrell brought that charisma back in 2003 when he broke in. A guy who it's easy to root for because he's such a good kid, and immensely talented. Sometimes he has to rein in and not try to do too much, but what do you see? He's still really young, first full year in the big leagues. What do you see in a kid like that, and where does he have to kind of make the adjustments and the growth? So, in 2022, 23, and 24, when his career really takes off, he could become the player that everyone thinks he can be.
Yes, the biggest thing I like about him that like he's not scared. Like he's fearless. I mean, a lot of stuff he's doing this year, I didn't probably attempt to like my 6th or 7th year in the big league. I'm like, I'll play it safe kind of deal. But he's fearless, number one, and I'm jealous of him, man, because he's probably faster than I was, and he hits the ball 500 feet further than I could. So I'm like, this is a special talent, man, and you have to make adjustments. He's made them throughout this year. And think about the all season, especially with all the numbers they have now, the pitchers will start making adjustments. So he'll probably have to start using the whole field more. I know this is a dinosaur statement, but I would like to see him bunt a little more. Not like I did, but just to keep the defense honest a little bit. That'll help the average. That'll help the on-base percentage. Because if he just gets it down to hit, if the third baseman is playing by the shortstop and that stuff like that. But he's just electric. Like you said, Dontrell had the charisma. Jose Fernandez had the charisma when they were on there. They brought that energy. But from a position player standpoint, I don't remember a guy like Jazz coming up. You just had, Stanton, who was a monster, Yelich, Hanley, Ugla, but just that charisma, the blue hair, the shoes, like you never know what you're going to get. So you see them every game, where Dontrell and Jose, you had to wait every 5th day to see it. So I think it's definitely a good shot in the arm for the Marlins for this kid to do well like he's doing this year.
When you say about Jazz, you made an interesting point. Like, you'd like to see him bump more. For a player like you who was, dropped a lot of bunts and very speed style, played a beautiful game, but a game that's kind of been taken away in modern baseball. So, like, we don't see a lot of Juan Pierres anymore. How do you feel about that? And like, does someone that had your style still have a big role in today's game, or is this like just a full new generation?
It's kind of a little bit of both. I think it's a whole new generation where you'll never see a guy. I mean, I think I used to attempt 90 some bunts, 100 some bunts a year, attempt. And on my good years, I would have 25 to 30 bunt base hits. I don't think you'll see that again. I think it's definitely a place for it, but I just, with the way the game is going, I think, they're with the slugging and the big innings and stuff like that with just power guys. But base running is a big thing. Not just base stealing, but base running is a big thing. But I hope it comes back. I think with the strikeouts are so up now, I think it's going to take some time, but I don't think it's going to be like Ichiro's, me, Sean Figgins, guys like that we relied on it. I just don't see the guys are being motivated to do it. I'm around the game a little bit, and I used to do the bunt station in with the Marlins. Now it's nothing but pitchers, and probably in a couple of years that's not going to be, because the DH is coming. It's coming soon, so I don't know if the bunt station is just me and the machine over there maybe here in a couple of years. But it's sad because I know what the game meant to us, especially the 03 team, the bunt game, and guys playing that game and winning the World Series doing it. But yeah, I don't see it happening, unfortunately, just the way the game has been going.
Because what's crazy is looking, you in the World Series here, you only had 35 strikeouts. Your career high strikeouts was like 52, I think, in a season. I mean, some players are doing that in like a month and a half now. It's insane how the game has changed from someone like your generation, who's not even that far removed from baseball, from playing.
Yeah, it's not even frowned upon. If a guy strike out, I remember when guys struck out 100 times. And I was like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, you striking over. And it's definitely a leadoff guy, which the leadoff role has changed. They want instant offense power right off the leadoff spot. So I get all that. But for us, it used to be embarrassing to strike out that many times. We put a concerned effort with 2 strikes to put the ball in play. I'm not talking about just guys like me. I've seen Miguel Cabrera's do it. I've seen Todd Helton's, Larry Walker's, big guys like, maybe choke up on the bat, and, especially when the guy's on third with less than 2 outs or something, they're willing sacrifice the power to put the ball in play. And for me as a leadoff guy, no way you could strike out 100 times and be a leadoff guy back in the day. Like that was unheard of. Like you had to be a contact guy that got on base. Fortunately, I didn't walk a lot, so my batting average was basically my on base percentage. So that's why I did those kind of things to get on base because I did not walk a lot. But yeah, it's a whole new game. Like you said, it happened pretty quick. You know, I think my last year was 2013, and it was trending that way my last couple of years, and then it was like wham, you know, 200, 170 strikeouts, no big deal. And I hear hitting coaches say, hey, we want you to do damage. Every swing we want you to do damage. And, you know, in back in our days, when a guy was on second and you got the guy over, that was considered damage because you got the guy in, you know what I mean? But it's just a whole different mindset. And I don't want to be that old guy. I was like, oh, when I used to play, you know, I don't want to go there. I realize it's a different time. And I try to encourage the kids any way I can to play their style of ball with the new mindset.
Yeah, and I'm going to add some perspective here, guys. JP in 2003 led the majors with 747 plate appearances, struck out 35 times. And then you follow that up in 04, which was probably the better year for you, 748 plate appearances, 35 strikeouts. You know, so just 70 strikeouts in those 2 years with over, well, what 1,500 plate appearances. And that's just not heard of. And you never came out of the lineup. So you were facing lefties. You weren't, you know, those wipeout sliders. You were staying on that. So what do you tell, you know, and we see the games, you know, probably a little differently than Mike does, JP, because I'm watching these games last night, seeing like that Marlins game, you know, last couple of nights against the Nationals, just so many times, just all you need is to hit, make contact, do whatever. And the big swings, the never, you know, trying to beat a shift. And I'm not one of those, you know, just have your biggest slugger, just hit the ball the other way just to do it. But sometimes the game dictates something to put the game, create, you know, traffic, create pressure on the defense. And it's just one gate, one swing. And I guess when the player is taught that way, it's hard for them to adapt and improv in a game if that's their game, is to just one gate and I'm going to drive the ball because I'm looking at my OPS, my slugging, much more than my batting average.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's why I refrain from talking too much, because this is how they're taught to play the game. It's not like they're doing it on their own. Like they're getting rewarded or not rewarded, whatever, how balls they put in the seat or in the gap. So, I totally get it. But and I'm not saying your 3, 4, 5 hole hitter should be out here bunting every time. You know what I mean? But it's a lineup can be constructed. You can't have all boppers unless you have all boppers. You know, I remember the Braves team back in the days when they had Avi Lopez, you know, Chipper, Andrew, like Vinny Casamine, they had like 5 or 6 guys with 30 home runs. You got those guys, you roll them out. But how many teams have them? You know, it's not that many that have them. And these guys can hit as well. They wasn't 220 with 30 or 40. You know, the guys were 290, 300, 270s with those numbers. So, like I said, a lineup can be structured. You have your guys that that can bunt and top of the order, maybe the bottom of the order, but then you have your big bobbers in the middle. But it's just tough to watch when you see not an attempt to maybe put the ball in play, or not an attempt to like move a runner or something. And like I said, it's a different game, so I don't want to just. I like what I like, and to see in a baseball game, and it's tough to watch when you see that. And we talked about it's like when they put a guy on second base in extra innings. To me, it shouldn't go unless both teams are scoring. The game shouldn't go more than 2 more extra innings. Like somebody should get the guy over and get him in on a sac fly or something. It shouldn't take 16 innings for putting the guy on.
Yeah.
So, Joe, this is something Joe told me from covering you. He says that you were one of the hardest workers he's ever covered. From your preparation was like none other. Can you talk about your preparation going to the game and how much work ethic matters for these young players?
Can you hear me?
JP, do you hear him? Yeah.
And we break up.
Yeah, Juan. Yeah, what Mike was saying.
Yeah, I heard about
Yeah,
preparation.
the preparation. And to be clear, no, you were the hardest worker I ever covered.
Mm.
Not one of you. You're right there at the top of the hardest worker. You were always spring training specifically, obviously there before 7 a.m. And you kind of brought a different work ethic to this organization. So take us through that. Why you started doing it. You're always saying the first guy there and the last guy to leave. Just speak to that.
It was survival for me. Like, getting called up, and Larry Walker, 6'3", was there. Collinsworth was there. These guys were so much bigger than me, so it was a matter of survival for me, and it was preparation. It was hard for me. I was just always considered preparation. I had to cross my T's and dot my I's. Because these guys were just so much bigger and stronger than me. I didn't have the luxury if something goes wrong where I can hit a home run and all is cured, I had the guy to work the count, get on base for these big guys. So it just was preparation. I didn't consider it work because it was fun to me. I'm probably one of the few guys that actually because I could get there early, do my and then more. So it was inspiration for me, and it just started. I think Al Blesser started me with a routine when I got drafted with the Rockies, man. And it's something that I kept my whole career. And he just always told me, like, you want to be good at it, you don't have to work at it. And it just stuck with me. Colorado Rockies really formed me as my work ethic and that kind of stuff. And then just coming over from there to the Marlins, then it became second nature. I know a lot of people thought I was crazy when I first got there. I remember telling me, he's like, bro, what is that going on in the cage? It was like 6:30 in the morning, someone's hitting, and it was me. I'm like, this is just what I do. This is how I prepare. This is how I work, and give it my all. And I never was a rah-rah guy. I never told guys, hey, come out here and hit. I'm like, you want to come? I'm out here. If not, I'm gonna still be working.
Yeah, it's funny because we over a year ago we spoke on a similar subject for a story I wrote with Dontrell when he started going, and I think you left him one time, or like he said he might be running out of the hotel with one shoe on to catch up because when you were ready to go, you were ready to go, and just to get him on board, and then the number of players that followed, where it became common, and to this day. There are Marlin players in spring training that are there well before 9 a.m. or 8:45, whenever stretch is. They're there way ahead, and it really kind of started with you back in 2003.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to think because none of these guys were around. But like I said, I wasn't there for people or like just trying to promote even know for so I do a lot of behind the scenes, but from that story on trail at this time, you're not here and I'm leaving. I don't think he thought I was serious until he saw me leave.
Even JP, along with even being first at the ballpark, just the way you prepared for a 7:00 game. You were at the field. You were throwing the ball against the outfield wall on the road. You're doing, the stuff to see the landscape of the outfield to see if there are any little tricky areas, or even to the point where when you even helped Dontrell by getting a left-handed catcher's glove to help him in his early work. How did that kind of come about? When the season and every night, especially when he went to a visiting ballpark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it came up just because number one, the stuff I did in the outfield was because I didn't have a strong arm. There was no secret. So I was trying to get every element where I can get the ball quicker back into Alex or Louis or whoever was my shortstop or second baseman at the time. So that was the type of stuff I knew I had to do. Bunting, I knew the guys were going to be playing way in. So I was going to have to get the ball to stop before they go to him. I need to go on the line. Is he going to roll fair or foul? So meticulous about stuff. That's why, like, when I see the cards the guys have and the coaches tell him. Like, I didn't need a coach to tell me anything because I already knew. Like, I already knew what the pitcher was going to do on the pitcher's mound. I already knew the where they hit the ball. Like, I did that research myself. And I think Dontrell just really took a liking, and he kind of saw behind the scenes what I did. So he would throw flat grounds. I'm like, bro, I'll catch you. I'll help. And I started off with my regular glove, and he was going to rip that joker apart. So I'm like, I got to get a catcher's mitt. So I had to call Mizuno and actually got me a catcher's mitt. And I would just go in all season. We would play catch, and then during the between his starts, he would work on his get the ball here, throw it here, and I still have that catcher's mitt to this day. And everybody asks, why do you have a defended catcher's mitt? I would say Dontrell was the one that have on the D train. Made me get this catcher's mitt because I didn't want him to tear my hand off.
I tell you, in a lot of conversations I've had with Jack McKeon, he really thinks that helped Dontrell in a lot of ways. That you just doing that, something as simple as that, and obviously pitchers have their routines and workouts, but he really thought that helped Dontrell be the pitcher he was throughout his tenure, especially here in Miami.
Yeah, I want to take the credit for that one, but I know as a player, and this is stuff to get lost in the numbers, when people just think you're robots. It's that kind of stuff when somebody goes off their way, a teammate goes out of their way to help you, try to get better. That stuff bodes well to people's sight and stuff like that, man. You can't measure it, with number wise, but when you have a teammate that someone is pulling for you, genuinely pulling for you, like it makes it for a great clubhouse. And Joe, you was around, we had 25, 30 guys doing that, like just really genuinely pulling for each other.
Yeah.
We should talk about the 03 team because I think that's every Marlins fan's favorite team, has to be. But I want to ask you, Juan, because there was a time where that team was 500. Around June 30th, you guys were 500. At what point did it start to change? After there was a manager change, things were happening. But at what point did you guys start to feel like, okay, we're actually a playoff team? We're not a 500 club. We're going to be a team that's going to compete and make the playoffs.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you. Little technical difficulties, but go Juan. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear thunder. Can you hear me now?
Right. Yeah, we're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Boy. Over.
Juan, okay? You there?
You still with us?
Does he need to reconnect? This is what you have when you do live streaming, but a little inconvenience as we adapt to modern technology.
Back on.
Yeah, you're good. So you guys had a manager change. You guys were 500 at the end of June. But what did you guys feel like things were turning around and you guys knew that you guys were going to be a playoff team?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you hear the question, Juan?
Kind of breaking up. Can you hear me now?
Want to just reboot real fast, or are you there?
Oh, yeah, I got the question. I heard the question. I just every time I try to answer it.
Okay, I think you're good. Go.
You're good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Kind of weird. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got
Okay.
you. We can hear you.
When did we know we're a team to reckon with? Like, like, like you said, with the managerial change, and I think Dontrell and Miggy called up. That gave us definitely a boost. But I'm really, I go to this. I don't know what month it was, June. Boston and played in the second game. They're like 23-8. I think Pavano pitched that game. We were giving them crap because he's from like Connecticut, so this is like a homecoming for him. I don't think he recorded an out.
June 27th.
I think we went through like 3 pitches before we even got one out in the inning. Yeah, we're 23-8, and the next night I think we're down 8.
You're down about 8.
Something,
I think it was
6 or
8.
7
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah.
In the 8 or 7 or 8, and then the next day, and we came back and won after losing that. Oh, okay. So we're down by that, and then we ended up coming back and winning that game. And I think Mikey Lowell hit a ball like right center in Boston, which he never goes up. He always will pull his home run. I think he hit a home run there and helped us win. And we're like, okay, we might have something here. And I think that was sparked the win. And honestly, I don't remember losing after that. I know we did. I know we went on one West Coast trip, and we went like 1-8, 1-9, and picked up half a game.
Yeah.
So we really thought we had a chance after doing that. So.
Yeah, JP, that series in Boston, obviously memorable with the big blowout loss the first night, the injury to Ole, the very scary moment, and then the big rally the next day. And if I recall, I think wasn't it Red Sox were even rallying in the bottom of the ninth after you guys took it, and there was that ball to you, and I think you came in and got it and flipped it to Gonzo, and you doubled the guy up at second to kind of pull that one out. Do you remember that play?
Yeah, when he read the ball, he didn't think I was going to get to it, and I laid out, and I like flipped it to Alex, and he like stumped on the base, like putting a cap on that game. And I remember going into the clubhouse, which is very small in Boston, and everybody's just feel, I mean, I remember everybody just looking like, okay, we can do this, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that was some series, and it was kind of funny just to reflect on that one again. After that first night, that 25 to 8, I think was the final, like JP said. McKeon did something classic because the Red Sox they batted around like 3 times in the first inning. I think Johnny Damon was like a triple shy of the cycle in the first inning alone. He like homer, doubled, and singled, and then afterward, the way the game went. And they were unrelenting. Jack, post-game, first thing he tells the media is, and Boston media's there, he goes, is there a problem with Boston's bullpen? And everyone's like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, they're tagging up and they're scoring runs whenever they can. And they created that whole Grady Little was defending and running up the score, and John Henry like stepped in. And it created this kind of friction within the Red Sox where they blew the Marlins out like the wrong way. And then the next night they blow the 8 or so run lead, and the Marlins, pull that game out. And it was obviously like JP is saying, big win to kind of launch them and to show they could win at Boston. And then the magic just kind of came all the second half of that season. But JP, we want to talk about a guy from that 03 team who's going to be going to Cooperstown and whenever he decides he doesn't want to play anymore. But Miguel Cabrera, obviously, you were there when Miggy got called up, and you saw home run number 1. And now, a couple of days ago, he hit home run number 500 in his career. What do you remember about that first one? His kind of introduction to big leagues and the way he walked that game off with his first big league hit being that home run against Tampa. Juan, you back?
Yeah. It was a typical Miggy. You didn't know at the time, but this guy from when he was 12 had seemed to have ice in his veins. He always was ready for the big moment. And I think it was like 0 for 4, 0 for 4 at that point, at a big league 0 for. But I was like, this guy is unbelievable. But I'll tell another story. I think it was a week or two later. He strikes out on a breaking ball for I don't know who was pitching. And I came back and was like, okay, Miggy, it's all right, man. These guys are pretty good up here, man. Just, stay with it. He was like, Poppy, I got it, Poppy. He threw another breaking ball. I hit a home run. I'm like, easy, Poppy. Like, it's not that easy up here. And sure enough, he came back his next at bat. Guy throws a breaking ball. He hits all about 400 feet. And I knew it. I was like, this guy's a Hall of Famer, man. This just doesn't happen, especially at 20 years old. So you can tell when somebody's different. And Miggy just was different. The sound bat when he hit, the way. And he was almost younger than all of them.
Yeah. I have a question. This is un-baseball related.
Any injuries or
Sorry. So we got broken up for a second there. We also good?
Yeah.
All right, Juan, I have a quick question before we do our last little segment here to wrap up the show. This is a question that I've always wanted to ask you, if I ever got the chance to ask you a question. The Jay-Z song Deja Vu, where he gives you a shout out, mentions your name. He used to run base like Juan Pierre. How shocked were you when you heard that? Did you know that was coming out, and how often do you listen to that?
Yeah, about the Jay-Z song?
Yeah.
Man, always. Hello.
Yeah.
We heard you.
We got you.
Yeah, I didn't hear it. It always breaks up when you talk, Mike.
Nah. Hold on. The Jay-Z song. When you first heard it, what was your reaction?
It's probably my phone, man. Thunder now here I'm at.
Can you hear him, Mike? Can you hear him, JP?
Okay, I heard the Jay-Z song.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My reaction to the Jay-Z song was. My reaction to the Jay-Z song was crazy.
See there? Mike?
I can hear him perfectly when he talks.
Yeah. Is he rebooting or trying to? Yeah. Here we go.
All right.
All right.
Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
You there?
Sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties. When there's bad weather, it's over. Yeah, it's pretty bad here too. It's never great, but so bear with us.
Can you?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We know
We know that Juan had the best walk-up song in 03. As he's getting ready to answer this one. But we ready kind of like the Battle for that team and had every kid in South Florida was singing that song.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like it's an echo.
We
Yeah.
Should
You log out, come right back in.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes. We can hear you.
We might have to retake this. My phone is crazy.
There's no problem.
Yeah.
I'll try to get down
to the Jay-Z
song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We can go. We can hear you whenever you want to.
First reaction. My first reaction to the Jay-Z song. I think my sister was the one who called me. I was like, not like had to be something else. But when I finally realized that he said Juan Pierre, honestly, most people. Honestly, most people remember me from being in the Jay-Z song than actually playing baseball.
It's a great song.
Oh, you meant something to him and
everyone.
I have my kids listening, but they can't believe it.
When I told my girlfriend doesn't know anything about baseball. When I told my girlfriend, I'm like, oh, Juan Pierre's gonna be on our podcast. She was like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, the guy from the day that Jay-Z shouts out on the Deja Vu song. She's like, oh my God.
What?
Exactly. There you have it.
Hey, what message you have for kids that try to get more kids to play baseball? And we're in South Florida, and the state of Florida there, you play baseball year round. What are some of the things you tell kids?
Say it again, Joe.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Yeah, I
you
was
know,
just saying. What message you give kids
who play baseball
who
or
play
want to play
baseball or want to play
just,
baseball? Just
what is some
what
advice
is some advice you give to
them kids when you're
around them?
To the young kids who want to play baseball, either young or college or whatever, I would say, man, have fun. First and foremost, you got to enjoy it. It's a game. It's not life or death. I don't take it too serious because as you get older, if you're fortunate enough to play professional baseball, it becomes a business. So I'm dealing with travel with the parents. It'll get serious enough. Put two kids now, and rest. We got travel ball stuff. They play 100 games here at 14. 13, 11 years old. I'm a firm believer that you should play other sports.
Joe, I think with the technical difficulties, it might be best just to cut this off.
Wrap this up.
Maybe we could re-record this next week or something later in the week. But the weather here was bad. The weather probably down south, if that's where Juan is even located. I know it's pretty bad. So we appreciate you coming on. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone, and hopefully we can redo this soon. But we appreciate you tuning in.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.